Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome aboard. Be sure to join me for 3 weekly videos on how to improve your writing skills, social skills, public speaking skills, and much more. Join the tribe, hit that bell notification, and never miss another video again. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And be sure to drop that like on your way in as we enter the world of social skills, public speaking, content creation, and we talk about eye contact. All 3 of these fields require eye contact to a certain degree. And if you're not aware, the ability to look someone in the eyes, this is a fear that a lot of people have. And the reason that they have a fear in regards to looking people in the eyes is because it doesn't feel like they're just looking someone in the eyes. Instead, it feels like the other person is watching their entire body. So if you're someone that is already struggling with a certain level of self-esteem and someone is looking at you in the eyes and you think that your entire body is being watched, this only amplifies the pain some more. In this episode, I'm going to share a mind-blowing trick in order to improve eye contact, no matter if it's on the public speaking stage, in front of a camera, in front of a person in a conversation. But first, I need to share a story about a time when I was living in Virginia. And at first, the story is not going to feel like it is congruent with this episode. You're going to be thinking, why is this guy talking about this story for so long? When's he going to go on with the fix? But I highly recommend that you listen to the story because it ties exactly into the fix. So without further ado, let's start off with the story. But before we do, drop that like for me right on below so other people can discover this video. Around 2015, I was going to be moving out of Florida and I was supposed to be going to Texas. That's what I was envisioning, and that's what the company, the IT company that was hiring me for, told me. The day that I'm in the airport, I wave goodbye to my family. I get a call from one of the recruiters, and he's like, hey, change of plans. You're not going to go to Texas anymore. Instead, you're going to go to Virginia. When I heard this, I was furious because I had been doing all this research about moving into Texas. I was looking forward to Texas. Texas had nice weather like Florida. And suddenly, this guy was just switching it up on me, and there was nothing that I could do about it. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to Virginia. I get to Virginia late at night, and it's freezing. I don't like the cold too much, so that's strike number 1. It takes me a long time to find a taxi. This is before Uber, Lyft were too popular, so I had to take the taxi. Once I take the taxi, I am driven to the recruiter who initially called me, and he wanted to break some news to me. He had to give me some paperwork. And that's when he was this fat Indian guy. He's like, well, welcome aboard, Armani. Would you like to hear the good news or the bad news first? I had already been having a bad day, so I was like, give me the good news. And he's like, well, the good news is that we have a place for you to stay. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, this is obvious. I mean, that's one of the reasons I decided to work with you guys. Apparently, you guys were going to give free housing as I was getting trained. So I don't know how this is good news, but I was like, okay, what's the bad news then? And he's like, well, the bad news, Armani, is that most of the rooms in this house are taken. So you're going to have to sleep in the basement for the first 2 to 3 weeks. When I heard that, I didn't like it at all. Because if you're from Florida and you hear basement, something about that just indicates dirty, disgusting, low status. And I'm supposed to be sleeping here for 2 to 3 weeks. He gives me the keys. I go back to my taxi. I get driven over to the place. I look at it. I'm like, okay, well, it's pretty big. I go into the basement, which is a little different than I was expecting. If you go to Virginia, what they call basement is actually the first floor. So it wasn't as bad as I was initially thinking. This was a storied house. And I'm just settling my stuff down. It's still freezing, especially it being the first floor. And I could hear all this chattering above me on the second floor. So I'm wearing this black hoodie. I look like a straight up thug. I started walking up, and one of the girls, she screams. She's like, "Oh my God, like, are we being robbed?" I was like, no, I'm your new roommate. I began introducing myself, and a lot of these people seemed a little cliquey. It's like they didn't want to accept me. So I was just like, okay, well, it was nice meeting you, and I go back downstairs. At this stage, I'm not enjoying anything about this at all. I'm sleeping on a basement. I was supposed to be in Texas, enjoying the warm weather, and now I'm in the cold, and I'm supposed to be here for who knows how long. Okay, it can't get any worse than this. The next day, I realized that I gotta get food. And the thing is, I left my car in Florida. So what I had to do for the next couple of days, anytime I needed to get groceries, was I would walk to Walmart, I would pick up the groceries, and then I would walk back with the groceries. So Virginia is a little weird. Like when you need it to be cold, it's hot. When you need it to be hot, it's cold. And the times that I was walking back, it was burning. I hated it. And I was not liking Virginia at all, especially this place that I was staying. Well, one day I go to Walmart and I get all my groceries. I'm about to walk back and it's raining. And it's not just a little bit of rain, it's pouring. So I'm just standing out there with a bunch of bags, just waiting there, looking upset. I guess I looked so upset that the guy next to me, he was this elderly man who pushed around the shopping carts. He looked at me and he was like, "Oh, why are you so sad for?" And I don't know why, but it felt like I could open up to him. So I started to explain everything that had been going wrong for the past couple of days. This old man listens to me and he's like, "You know, young man, you need to brighten up. Don't you understand where you're living?" I was like, "No, where am I living?" He's like, "You're living in Virginia." I was like, And he's like, "Not any part of Virginia. You are living in Sterling, Virginia." And I was like, "And?" That's when he said, "You know, there's a neighborhood in Sterling, Virginia that is the top 5 richest places in all of the United States of America. If I were you, I'd be more curious. I'd quit being so mopey and I'd explore this area." And when he said that, I was like, maybe this guy has a point. Maybe I've been a little too mopey and I should heed his advice. It stopped raining. I walked back from Walmart back to my crib and I began Googling what this guy was talking about. Was he telling the truth? Does Sterling, Virginia have one of the richest neighborhoods in all of the United States of America? And as I was doing my research in roughly 2015, I saw a few articles that posted Sterling, Virginia in being the top 5 richest places in the United States of America. And one of the articles actually dropped the neighborhood that was one of the wealthiest. And this neighborhood looked very familiar. Once I looked at it, I was like, wait a minute. What was the address that dumb recruiter gave me? And I looked at the address that the recruiter gave me, and it was the same exact one as the article. Here I was, living in one of the richest parts in the entire United States of America, and I wasn't even aware of it. But now I became aware, and once I became aware, my entire experience in regards to living in the basement suddenly changed. There was this fireplace that was in this basement this entire time. And it wasn't one of those fireplaces where you had to like actually get wood and stick the wood in. Instead, all the wood were assembled in a certain way, and all you had to do was turn on the switch, like a light switch, and fire would come on. Prior to knowing that I was living in one of the richest places in the United States of America, I didn't even notice this fireplace. But now I was like, well, yeah, man. I mean, I'm living in one of the richest spots. I don't have to get my own wood. I just turn on a switch and the fire automatically comes. My entire experience was different. The purpose of this story is to share that you never know when someone can give you a piece of information or knowledge that can alter your perception. And something truly alters your perception when it's experienced by the mind and the limbs. The body has to be just as much convinced of the knowledge that has been accepted by the mind. That is when perception has been altered. So what I want to teach you right now in regards to eye contact, hopefully is going to be that knowledge that shifts your perception in regards to eye contact. Right now, if you're struggling with eye contact, the reason why is because when you perceive eye contact, you just perceive it as looking at someone. Okay, I mean, are you saying that's not the case, Armani? Correct. Eye contact only exists when you look at someone and when you break away eye contact. This is very similar to communication skills. When someone pictures communication skills for the first time, they're thinking, just talking a lot, right? Well, yeah, Armani, that's what communication skills is, isn't it? No, it's talking plus being silent. These two variables are the minimum of what's required in order to communicate. Likewise, with eye contact, we want to make sure that it's us looking at someone and taking eye breaks. The reason that this is important is because if you don't ever take eye breaks, then what happens is that you are staring at someone. You ever had that moment happen to you when someone is just looking at you like this the entire time and is speaking to you? Sure, they're looking at you the entire time, but it feels creepy. And the thing is, whenever someone is struggling with eye contact, they're placing so much importance on the looking part that they don't understand that 50% of the task, they're actually doing well, the whole eye breaks part. When you factor in both of these into the eye contact game, that's when over time it becomes much easier. Back to the speaking example. If someone is only factoring in speaking in regards to communication skills, then they're going to be talking really fast. They're going to be running out of breath a lot. But once they accept the silence, that's when the entire communication skills loop comes in full circle, and there's going to be more impact in terms of their communication skills. So right now, if you're someone that's struggling with eye contact, you want to first be happy that you're doing half of the equation correctly. You're taking eye breaks. Now, when you are like, okay, well, I'm doing half the equation correctly, I have a win. Now, with this win, it becomes much more of a vibe, much more enthusiasm to look at someone versus you approaching this entire situation as, I'm doing everything wrong. So acknowledge that you're doing something right. You'll feel more enthusiasm, which will allow you to look someone more in the eyes. And vice versa is true. If you're someone that's currently viewing eye contact as only eye contact, then you need to do the opposite of this person. You need to introduce more eye breaks into your game. The more socially anxious the person is that you're speaking to, and the more confident that you are, the more that eye breaks should be incorporated into your eye contact game. Eye breaks allow the other person to not feel like they're being watched, like the whole body is being watched. And the more eye breaks that you take, the more it feels like the other person has known you for some time. Before you wrap this video up, Armani, quick question. How many eye breaks should I take and how long should I look at the person? That is something that cannot fully be answered because each interaction is different. And this is something that we need to allow judgment to be built upon. Just understand the simple formula. Eye contact is a game of looking at someone and looking away. And then each interaction, go with the feel. There's a lot of things that we do with feel that we don't always need exact numbers for. It's like that with driving. You ever had that one moment when you're driving and you're like, wait a minute. It feels like I'm going way over the speed limit than what I'm supposed to be driving right now. And you see from that feeling that you're 12 miles over the speed limit, and then you use the numbers by looking at your speedometer second. So you don't need all these formulas right now. Just go by the feel of looking at someone and breaking away. Your body will often be the compass in regards to that. So if you enjoyed today's video in regards to eye contact and how to be more comfortable with it by introducing eye breaks or to look at someone, then be sure to check out my free daily newsletter where I drop a lot of practical tips on social skills, public speaking, creative writing, and much more. This newsletter goes out every single day at 7 p.m. EST, and it's very short. Most of the entries are 400 to 800 words, so you get a new newsletter delivered to you every day. You learn a thing or two, and you go about your day as a changed person. Join the Armani Talks Free Daily Newsletter in the description box, in the pinned comment, or go on ArmaniTalks.com/newsletter and sign up today. Thank you very much for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I will catch you next time.